What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. It is another Falcons Friday upon us. And also just want to wish everybody a happy new year. This is my first video since the new year. So I hope you guys stay safe out there. All of the subscribers, shout out to you guys, man, for supporting me all season. This was my first Falcons season, and it's been I finally completed the first season as a content creator or YouTuber, but I couldn't have done it without you guys tuning into the videos, sharing, subscribing, telling your friends about it, sharing it to your Facebook pages and Facebook Falcons groups. So big ups to every single person that subscribed to my channel this season. This is my first season doing it. I'm gonna continue to do it as long as possible. The goal is to make it one of the biggest Falcons channels on YouTube. But I appreciate every single person. I believe we're at like 150 subscribers. So that was big for me, getting to that 150 subscribers during my first season. My goal right now is to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can start doing live videos. But shout out to everybody, man. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. But I told you I was going to give you a video of the playoff matchups of who I think is going to win each matchup all the way up to the Super Bowl. So first we're going to just take it weekend by weekend. So this week is going to be the wild card round. Next week I'll do who I believe is going to win the divisional round, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to tell you who I think is going to win the Super Bowl now, because personally I feel like it's all about matchups. So with that being said, let me go ahead and just tell you guys, I'm gonna go through the 4 games this weekend of who I think is gonna win. I don't do point spreads, so if you're a betting person that's betting on these games, I'm sorry, but I don't do point spreads. I'm gonna just tell you flat out who's gonna win the game. I'm not gonna tell you about how many points I think they're gonna win by, because I really never care about point spreads and who wins by how much. I'm just gonna tell you at the end all be all who's gonna win each game, who will be moving forward to the divisional round and playing next weekend to continue to contend for that Lombardi trophy. I hate that our Falcons are not playing in the dance this year. This is my favorite time of year because NFL playoffs is like no other. It's almost like March Madness, win in advance. So the underdogs have a much better chance in the NFL to win a championship and go to the Super Bowl. You know, in the NBA, I'm an NBA fan as well. NFL and NBA is 1A, 1B. When it comes, to me, NFL is 1A and then NBA is 1B. And typically it's just because of the playoff, how the playoffs are. In the NBA, the underdogs have less of a chance to win because it's a series. So the chances or the likelihood of an underdog team beating a superior team 4 times, in a 7-game series, the likelihood is less. The percentage is less that can happen unless a serious injury or something like that happens. So I love the NFL playoffs because you never know. It's any given Sunday, and everybody now is at 0-0. So it don't matter if you're a wild card team or if you're the 1 seed. Anybody could get knocked off and not make it to the next weekend. So this is an exciting time of year. So I want to jump right into it. First, we're going to talk about the first matchup. I'm going to start with the AFC, which I believe both of those games will be played on Saturday. And then I'm going to talk about the NFC wild card round. So in the first game, my first matchup, the Patriots playing in Foxborough at home against the Tennessee Titans. I do have the Patriots moving on to the divisional round. Surprise, surprise. It's probably no surprise to you guys. Excuse me. I am going chalk there, and I'm going with the better team. I just feel like the Patriots have been there, done that. They have veterans on their team. Tom Brady is very hard to beat in Foxborough, and the New England defense, they're hard to beat. I believe they have like a top 5 defense this year, probably the number 1 defense. They probably have the best secondary in the league. Personally, I feel like they had the best secondary in the league with the McCourty twins, the McCourty brothers, one at the safety position, one at the DB or cornerback position. Stephon Gilmore is probably the best corner in the NFL right now, or playing the best football right now. He had the game-sealing interception in the Super Bowl last year. And he's a very good cornerback. They have good linebackers. They got Jamie Collins back. from the Cleveland Browns, who was gone for a few years. They have Zeus Hightower at the inside linebacker position still. Up front, they have Lawrence Guy. In the trenches, the big nose tackle, him and Sheldon, the guy who was drafted by the Cleveland Browns. On the outside, blitzing, the edge rushers, Chase Winovich out of the University of Michigan. Is a solid pass rusher. And they have a bunch of different guys that they throw at you, but they do a lot of blitzing, especially run blitzes with their linebackers. So they bring a lot of pressure up front, and they are very good at shutting down the run. And that's what Tennessee likes to do. Tennessee has the running back who led the league in rushing, and Derrick Henry, the Heisman Trophy winner out of Alabama. Very big, bruiser, tall, battering ram. Has speed though. And that's one thing that I like about Derrick Henry for a big guy. He does have speed, so he can take it the distance once he hits a crease. But I just don't think it's going to be enough in this game. I really think that the Titans, once you shut down their running game, I really think it's going to be tough sledding for those guys in this game. This game will be played in the elements, in the cold, in New England. And as you know, New England rarely loses at home. The only teams I believe that have beaten them at home on the road in the playoffs are the Ravens, I think, and the Jets. Those are like the only two teams in modern day history, I think, that has beaten them on their home turf. It's really hard to beat the Patriots at home in the playoffs. And normally, I believe this is like one of the first times since the decade that just passed that they are actually playing in the wild card round. Usually, the Patriots always have a bye because they usually always have 12 plus wins coming into the playoffs. This is the first season that I think Kansas City and the Ravens are the two top seeds in the AFC this year. So that was a shocking surprise. But I still think that in this game, the Patriots are going to be too much for the Titans. I want to talk a little bit about the Titans. They do have Ryan Tannehill, who's been playing good football, the longtime Miami Dolphins quarterback. They did bench Marcus Mariota mid-season because he was struggling, and they did start Ryan Tannehill, who's a solid quarterback. He's played great football this year. He can scramble because he was a wide receiver in college. But he also can throw the ball. He can throw the ball really well out of the pocket, and he can scramble. So he's the guy that you have to look out for in this game. But their number one thing that they want to do is run the ball with Derrick Henry. And if you can shut down that running game and stop the physicality of the Titans, you really can make them one-dimensional. And it's going to be really hard, I think, for them to go up against that New England defense. Because Bill Belichick, if one thing we know, he's a brilliant mind when it comes to defense. And the New England Patriots defense is very stout. And like I was saying, they have probably the best secondary in the game. The Titans do have some good young receivers. A guy named Brown on the outside. I believe he's number 11. Jonnu Smith, who's been a good tight end, a shockingly surprising good tight end for them. He has shocked a lot of people and come out of nowhere, basically, because they had Delaney Walker, who got injured. But Jonnu Smith has stepped right in and hasn't missed a beat for them. He's played excellent football. And on the other side, they have Corey Davis, the top. I believe this is his second or third season playing for their team. But he's a solid wide receiver on the outside as well, number 84 for the Tennessee Titans. So it should be a good football game. But I just think that New England has too much for the Titans. The Titans do have a solid defense. And the key to the Titans winning this game is going to be getting pressure on Tom Brady. If Jurrell Casey and those guys up front can get pressure and get home to Tom Brady before he has time to pass the ball, it could be a long day for the Patriots because the Patriots are down a lot of weapons. They don't have a lot of weapons this year on the offensive side of the ball. They have Mohamed Sanu from our Atlanta Falcons that we traded to them a couple of weeks ago. They do have, I think it was at the bye week that we traded them Mohamed Sanu. They do still have Julian Edelman, who's getting up there in age. They do have N'Keal Harry, who is their first round draft pick this year, and he's a solid player as well. Very tall, rangy, and can catch the ball out of Arizona State. He's a good receiver, but he's still developing, and he hasn't played in the big moments yet. So I look for Tom Brady to go to his bread and butter in this game, which will be going to Julian Edelman in the slot, running those option routes, and also White, the running back that they have out of the backfield. White does a good job of catching the ball for them out of the backfield, and the running back out of Georgia, Sony Michel. He's another guy that's really dangerous. I'm not sure if he's back from injury, but if he's back, he's also very solid in running the ball. And then Rex Burkhead is another guy that they use for catching the ball out of the backfield and running the ball. Once in the second half, once your defense tires out, Rex Burkhead is one of those battering rams that you can run the ball right in the teeth of the defense, and he does a good job of getting that 3 and 4 yards in a cloud of dust. He's a very good at that. So I don't know in this game if the Titans are I really think going to have a very hard time in this game with the Patriots, and I have the Patriots moving on to next weekend in the divisional round. But with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the next matchup. The next matchup out of the AFC will be the Texans. I believe the Texans have home field advantage in this game. And they'll be taking on the Buffalo Bills. Now in this game, I actually have Buffalo pulling off the upset as the lower seed. I believe they're the lower seed, yeah, because they didn't win the division. So they will be going on the road to take on the Texans. But the Texans, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, or fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I've seen the Texans in too many big games struggle, and I really think that they're not going to be able to pull this off again. I'm not a big fan of their coach that they have for the Houston Texans. I'm not a big fan of their coach. He came from New England, I believe, an understudy of Bill Belichick. I can't think of his name at the moment, but I'm not a huge fan of their head coach, and I'm not a huge fan. I am a Deshaun Watson fan, but he struggled down the stretch of the season. I don't know why. He started off really strong. They were beating a lot of good teams early in the season, but for whatever reason, as the season wore on, I don't know if it was due to injuries and attrition, but Deshaun Watson really slowed down towards the end of the season, and they lost a couple games that really was disappointing to me. And really, I lost a lot of confidence in watching the Texans play down the stretch. They didn't finish the season strong, and I really don't think that they're playing their best football right now. Now, Hopkins, D-Hop, at the wide receiver position, a lot of people call him Nuke. He's a very good wide receiver, a top 5 receiver in the game, has excellent hands, and I can see him having a touchdown in this game. But I really think that the X factor in this game is the Buffalo Bills defense. The Buffalo Bills have a very stout defense. They're very good. I believe they're a top 10 defense this year in the league. They have Oliver, the nose tackle that the Falcons, they were saying that my Atlanta Falcons was going to draft. They kept having us take him in the mock drafts. We didn't end up taking Ed Oliver is his name, out of the University of Houston. He's a nose tackle, and he's very good. He kind of puts me in the mind of McGrady Jarrett that plays for our Atlanta Falcons. Very physical, very quick, and he gets into the backfield and creates a lot of penetration. And I feel like if he can get to Deshaun Watson up the gut, coming, penetrating through the middle, I really think that they're going to struggle in this game of blocking those guys up front for the Bills. They also have Marcel Darius, who's also a good nose tackle, and then they have Shaq Lawson on the defensive end position, who also gets after the quarterback. So they have an excellent defensive line in front seven. They have the guy Edmonds that they drafted out of Virginia Tech a couple years ago. He's solid at the inside linebacker position. Flows sideline to sideline, very quick and good in coverage. And then on the back end, they have Tre'Davious White, who I feel like is one of the most underrated DBs in the game, or cornerbacks in the game. And he's another guy that's very, very dangerous. He can get his hands on the ball. He has sticky fingers, and he's a ball hawk. Him and Poyer. Poyer is another player that's an impact player on their defense that plays a safety position. He's another ball hawk that they have on their defense. So they have a lot of playmakers on that defensive side of the ball for the Buffalo Bills. And I really feel like they're going to put a lot of heat and pressure on Deshaun Watson. And I really don't believe in the running game of the Houston Texans. Even though they have solid running backs, to me, they don't do a good job of mixing it up. And they don't do a good job of winning the line of scrimmage. Now for the Bills on offense, they have a sneaky offense that can also put up points. And I like the way that they ended the season. And I was really impressed with watching their game against the Patriots the second time around when they played New England at New England. They played them really tough. They had a chance to actually win the game. They lost the game basically on the goal line. They were like on the 10-yard line. and they were trying to pass the ball into the end zone. They had four tries at it, and they didn't end up scoring. But one play, the tight end was wide open, and Josh Allen actually just overthrew him a little bit. So they almost beat New England at New England a couple weeks ago. So I'm really impressed with the Bills. I love their head coach, Sean McDermott. He's an excellent defensive mind, a very tough coach, hard-nosed, old-school coach. Puts me in mind of Dan Quinn a lot as far as the defensive background. An excellent leader of men. And I really see that this Bills organization getting back to the 90s where they could be very, very good. If they continue to draft well, they have a very good chance of having something special there in Buffalo, up north in Buffalo, New York. So I really have a lot of faith in that Buffalo Bills defense, and I really think that they have a chance of upsetting the Texans in this game. Like I said, the Texans, to me, they really struggled down the stretch. I don't trust their defense. They say that J.J. Watt is coming back, but I don't know how healthy he really is. With them losing Jadeveon Clowney earlier this season to trading him to the Seahawks, I really don't believe in that defense as much as I used to. I would give them more of a chance if they had Watt and Jadeveon Clowney, but now it's just Watt and Whitney Mercilus. I believe in Whitney Mercilus. He's a solid player, and J.J. Watt is J.J. Watt. He always comes out and performs when he plays, but he's not what he used to be. He's getting up there in age, and he's had numerous injuries, back injuries and stuff like that. So those are really serious injuries, and I don't see him having the same impact that he once had on a defense. In their secondary, they do still have Jonathan Joseph, who feels like he's been playing for about 30 years at that cornerback position. He's still a good cornerback, a very sneaky cornerback, and he also gets his hands on a lot of footballs as well, a ball hawk. So we definitely have to watch out for him if you're Josh Allen. But I really see Josh Allen for the Bills trending in the right direction. The quarterback for the Bills looked very good. I was very shocked and surprised that he has started to develop. He puts me in the mind of a Cam Newton because he's a really big guy, about 6'5", 6'6", strong arm, pretty accurate. Another thing on the offensive side of the ball for the Bills, they have John Brown, who's a very speedy wide receiver he likes to go down the field and make big plays down the field. They have Cole Beasley, who has really stepped up, and he also surprised me this year because I thought Cole Beasley was more of a system guy playing with the Dallas Cowboys, but he has really shown that he was worth the money for the Buffalo Bills, and he has really shown that he is an excellent receiver, a good, tough guy, running the little wiggle routes in the slot position. Puts me in the mind of an old Wes Welker. Catches a lot of balls, gets a lot of yak yards after catch, catches a lot of little screens and a lot of little option routes like a Julian Edelman. So they have a sneaky good offense, the Buffalo Bills, and they do a lot of good things and throw a lot of good looks at you. And they just know who they are. They run the ball, they play action pass, and they just stick to who they are. And they're a real gritty and hard-nosed team. So in that game, I have the Bills pulling off the upset. Now let's jump over to the NFC, and this is where it's going to get real sticky. In the NFC, first game is our arch rivals, the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans, taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Minnesota Vikings, my brother-in-law is a Minnesota Vikings fan. I follow the Minnesota Vikings because of that reason, that my brother-in-law is a huge Minnesota Vikings fan. And he's probably going to be shocked when I say this, but I have them pulling off the upset in Minnesota. In New Orleans. I have them beating New Orleans. A lot of people are going to look at this video and think that it's because of this bird right here that I'm hating on the Saints, but I'm really not trying to hate on the Saints. I really think that the Vikings have a chance to upset them in this game. And this is probably going to be the upset of the weekend. And the reason I really feel like the Vikings have a chance to upset the Saints is because the Saints have some key injuries in the middle of that defense, with Shelvin Rankins missing and the other guy that they have in the middle missing. They have like two of their nose tackles. Key players went down with injury. And I really think that that's going to affect their defense and them being able to stop the run. The Saints are one of the better teams at stopping the run this year. And they usually have a pretty good stout running. They're pretty stout stopping the run. They have a solid front seven. As you know, the linebackers for the Saints are really good at coming downhill, and they do a good job of stopping the run. But I really think that they're going to have a hard time covering Dalvin Cook out of the backfield. And Dalvin Cook, if he's healthy in this game, and they say he's coming back, if he's healthy, I really think that Minnesota can win by a touchdown plus, because they have some solid skill position players. As you know, they have Dalvin Cook, they have Adam Thielen, who I'm not sure if he's playing, but I believe they say he's playing, and Stephon Diggs. And if you remember a couple years ago when they played in the Minnesota Miracle in Minnesota, and when Diggs had that last touchdown, they're very dangerous with their skill position players. They have a lot of good guys. Madison out of the backfield, who's a first-year running back. He's another guy just like Dalvin Cook, is good at running the ball, very fast, very physical. They have Kyle Rudolph at the tight end position, who's been playing years and years and years. And then at the quarterback position, they have Kirk Cousins, who's looking for his first big-time win as a quarterback in the NFL. Because, you know, most times they say when Kirk Cousins plays in prime time, like Monday Night Football, he's never won one of those games. But I think this is one of those games where Kirk Cousins is going to get over that hump of not ever winning a big game. I really think that they're going to go in there and upset the Saints. If that running game and those guys are healthy in the backfield, and Thielen and those guys are really getting back healthy, I really feel like the Saints are going to struggle. And the reason I say that is the Saints do have a good front seven, but their back end is horrible. They did try to rectify that by bringing in Jack Rabbit, Janoris Jenkins from the Giants, who was cut a couple weeks ago. And they still do have Marshawn Lattimore, who's a solid cornerback. And then on the back end, they have Marcus Williams and Von Bell, who are solid guys as well. But Eli Apple is still burnt toast, and you can expose him. And those linebackers, Demario Davis, those guys are not good in coverage. AJ Klein is not good. Anzalone, those guys are not good. They're Robertson. Those guys, or Roberson, however you say his name, at linebacker for the Saints. Trust me, I know because I'm a Falcons fan. Those Saints guys are not that good in coverage. Those linebackers, they're just good, solid guys coming downhill. Now, they will lay the wood on you, like Davis will lay the wood on you coming down in the run game. And AJ Klein, those dudes do a good job of flying to the football in the run game. But they're not good in coverage, and they're not good in space. And I feel like the Minnesota Vikings just have too many weapons on the outside for these cover corners for the Saints. I really think that the Saints are going to be in trouble in this game. They tried to rectify by bringing in a lot of late key additions to their team, because I believe they also brought in the guy that was playing with the Redskins for a bunch of years. I forget his name, DJ Swearinger, who I'm a big fan of DJ Swearinger, and I wanted the Falcons to sign him when he was a free agent. He's a very good cover safety, and he can hit. He's a guy that will lay the wood on you, but I don't know if he's going to actually even get on the field in this game, because he's a backup player for their team. So I don't know what it is, but in these key games, we all know that Marcus Williams takes terrible angles on the football, and he makes big mistakes in pressure moments. And I really think that pressure breaks pipes. And I really think that the Saints the pressure is going to be too much on them playing at home. And I really think that Minnesota Miracle thing is going to really bite at them and come back to haunt them in this game again. Also on the Vikings, you know that the Vikings have a solid defense. Those guys up front are no joke. Everson Griffin is no joke. Linval Joseph at that nose tackle position is no joke as well. He's a very big and stout guy in the middle, that big hippo in the middle that you can't move, or that big trash can full of dirt, as some people like to say in the country. He's hard to move. You cannot move that guy off the ball, and it's going to be very hard for the Saints and Alvin Kamara to run the ball. And I really think with the Saints losing Mark Ingram, they're going to really struggle to run the ball up the gut. Alvin Kamara is not a good between the tackles runner. He's a good guy catching the ball, and he's a good running back running to the outside. But I feel like in this game, running the ball is going to be very hard, because the front seven of the Vikings is even better than the Saints. You got Everson Griffin up front, as I said. You got Linval Joseph up front. You got Anthony Barr. You got Eric Kendricks. You got all of these guys, man. You got Danielle Hunter. These guys are really going to be coming to take Drew Brees' head off in this game. And I think that he's going to be under pressure all game. And I really think that pressure is going to get to Drew Brees in this game. And they're going to sack him probably at least 3 or 4 times in this game. Watch what I'm saying. Also, on the back end, which is the weaker part of the Vikings defense, they have Xavier Rhodes, who's a solid corner, Trey Waynes. Both of those guys are pretty solid. But on the back end, the X factor for their team, out of the University of Notre Dame, and he's been there for years now. Harrison Smith, one of my favorite safeties in the game. Very solid guy, good playing to run, good playing to pass. Just an all-around solid safety, a solid safety. Probably one of the best safeties and overlooked safeties in the game. Number 22, Harrison Smith. He's a great cover guy, great hitter. He's just a good all-around guy. Puts you in the mind of a Troy Polamalu because all he does is make plays. He flies all around the field making plays. So I really think that they have a great chance to, put a lot of pressure on Drew Brees in this game. Now, not to sleep on Drew Brees because Drew Brees and that Saints offense is solid. Mike Thomas has had a great year this year for the Saints. He did get the big contract in the offseason like Julio Jones. He did get paid a huge contract, and he had a ton of catches this year. I think he broke the record for how many catches he had, over 100+ catches this year, over 1,000 yards receiving. Loves to run those slant routes. And that's what the Saints are going to have to do to win this game. If the Saints want any chance at winning this game, they're going to have to try to get those linebackers like Kendricks out in coverage. And they're going to have to run quick routes, quick slant patterns. They can't have plays that's long developing, because if they have long developing plays, the Vikings are going to destroy their offensive line, because the Vikings have one of the best defensive lines or one of the best defenses in football, especially on that front seven. It's going to be really hard to block those guys. And as you know, Mike Zimmer, the head coach of the Vikings, love to bring pressure, love to bring them zero blitzes, and love to bring that double A pressure where he's bringing both of those linebackers up to the line of scrimmage in between the guard and center, and pressure Drew Brees right up the gap, which no quarterback, especially Drew Brees, who's height challenged, hates when pressure is being brought right from the middle center of the defense. So I really think that the Vikings, this is just going to be a bad matchup for the Saints. I know the New Orleans Saints fans are going to hate if they watch this video, but it's no Falcons hate coming in my heart at all in this game. As far as me making this pick, I really think that the Vikings are going to upset these guys on the road. And I really think that the Vikings have the correct ingredient and just the perfect matchup. This is the perfect matchup for them. So the only chance that the Saints have is try to make this a shootout. But if this is a low-scoring, drag-it-out game, a slugfest like the Vikings would like to make it, where they're going to slow it down and run the football, it's going to be really, really hard for the Saints to win this game. They turn it into a very slow game, because if they slow the game down, that favors the Vikings. And I have the Vikings upsetting the Saints. So with that being said, let's jump over to the next game. And this was the toughest pick that I would have to make. As far as this weekend, I've jostled back and forth with this game. The Philadelphia Eagles at home, which is going to be the Sunday afternoon game, versus the Seattle Seahawks. Now, my father-in-law is a huge Seattle Seahawks fan, so big up to him and the 12s, all the 12s. If you know what that means, those are Seahawks fans. They always talk about the 12th man. Big up to the 12s. Last week, they got Marshawn Lynch back. And if you watched the Sunday night football game last week with the 49ers and the Seahawks, it was a drag-out fight, bar fight. It was very rough, rugged. Came down to the last play of the game with the guy being hit for the Seattle Seahawks. I think it was Hollister, their tight end, being whacked by Greenlaw, the linebacker for the 49ers, on the 1-yard line, and he didn't get in. But I feel like the Seahawks were robbed out of that game, because it was clear pass interference. I believe it was on third down, either second or third down. If you go back and watch that 49ers replay against the Seattle Seahawks, the Seahawks should have gotten that call. That was definitely a pass interference on the linebacker. I think it was Fred Warner that had the tight end Hollister, wrapped up on the play. It was a blatant pass interference, and it would have put the ball on the 1-yard line for Beast Mode to go in and just punch it in for the Seahawks to get that win. So the Seahawks really got robbed in last week's game against the 49ers. The NFL don't want to talk about it, and the refs don't want to talk about it, but they really did blow that call, and they kind of screwed the Seahawks of having the Seahawks now have to go on the road and face the be the seed that they are, and go on the road and face the Philadelphia Eagles. But with that being said, let's talk about the who I have. Like I said, I didn't talk about who I have winning the game, but in this game, I think I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. It hurts my heart to pick Seattle, because I do think that if the Eagles were at full strength, the Eagles would knock off the Seattle Seahawks. But I don't think that walk it to him Wentz or Carson Wentz, as Shannon Sharp calls him, walk it to him. I don't think that walk it to him has enough weapons in this game to be able to beat the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are a very dangerous team. Like I said last week, they almost beat the number 1 seed in the 49ers. Really, they should have beaten them, but they were robbed out of that pass interference call. They're very good on their defense. Their front seven with Bobby Wagner, the 2 linebackers that they have inside, KJ Wright and Bobby Wagner. Those dudes have been around for years now, over 5-6 years with the Seattle Seahawks. 2 of the best linebackers in the game, inside linebackers, and they are proving that there still are 2 of the best linebackers in the game. Last year, a lot of people started praising the linebackers of the Cowboys, Leighton Vander Esch and Smith, Jalen Smith. They were saying that those were the 2 best linebackers in the game, and I disagree with that. I think the best 2 linebackers in the game are right up there with them, possibly as KJ Wright and Bobby Wagner. Those guys are very solid. Veteran guys have been around for years and years and years, and have proven it year in and year out to be 2 of the best linebacking tandems in the game. So, no disrespect to the Dallas Cowboys, but I think that they kind of crowned those guys too early. Leighton Vander Esch, the Wolf Hunter, and Jalen Smith. I think they kind of praised those guys too early because those guys had a rough season. They didn't play that well this season. So, just to get back on track, like I said, I think I have the Seahawks winning this game. And the main reason that I have them winning, I don't think it's going to be enough for the Eagles with Boston Scott and these practice squad guys. What's the other guy? Greg Ward Jr. out there at the wide receiver position in the slot. He's a solid player, and I like what I'm seeing out of those guys. Goddard, Dallas Goedert at the tight end position, and what's the other guy that they have? Zach Ertz at the tight end position. Those guys are very solid. They have a solid offensive line, but they have a ton of injuries on the Eagles side of the ball. I don't think Brandon Brooks is playing in this game. I'm not sure if Lane Johnson, their right tackle, is playing in this game. I'm not sure if Miles Sanders, who is their running back, their rookie running back, who's very fast and explosive. I don't know if he's playing. Jordan Howard, the running back that they got from the Chicago Bears, I'm not sure if he's playing. Like, they got so many injuries with the Eagles that I was just looking like it was no way that I really could pick them. As much as I wanted to pick them because of how good their front seven is with Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat and all of those guys that they have, Vinny Curry, they have a great defensive line. They have one of the best defensive lines in the game. Barnett, all of those guys, they have a good defensive line. But what scares me about the Eagles the most is their coverage. Their linebackers with that Gary guy, Gary and what's his name? Bradham, Nigel Bradham. I don't believe in those guys in coverage. And their secondary is horrific. Yeah, you have Jalen Mills, and yeah, you have Malcolm Jenkins, who's a longtime veteran. And these guys have Super Bowl pedigree. But I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. I just don't see a way with all of the injuries that they have on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think they're going to be able to put up enough points with the Seattle Seahawks. As I was saying last week, I watched that 49ers game, and I was really, really impressed with that guy Homer that plays running back for the Seahawks. That rookie that they have, he is very explosive, very quick. He puts me in the mind of the guy that plays with the Denver Broncos. That dude Lindsey, Philip Lindsay. That's who this guy Homer puts me in the mind of. I think he wears like number 25 or 26. He's a very fast, swift guy, can catch the ball in the backfield. They ran a lot of little zone reads and zone tosses and sweeps. And he was getting like 8 and 9 yards a clip. And this guy really impressed me last week. So with the Seahawks, I really have them pulling out the game. I think the X factor in this game, in this Seahawks game, is going to be Russell Wilson. As you know, Russell Wilson I call him Houdini because he's just so hard to bring to the ground. It's been times where I'll be watching the game and it just looks like he has nowhere to go. He's about to get sacked. In some way, somehow, he ducks out. He runs for a first down. He ducks out. He throws one down the field. And I really feel like the X factor in this game is going to be Russell Wilson and him extending plays and those wide receivers with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and the other guy Moore that they have. they just have so many weapons on that offensive side of the ball. Hollister at the tight end position, they have so many guys that are slept on, but Russell Wilson make those guys better. And one thing that really scares me about the Seattle is they have that quick strike offense where when Russell Wilson gets out and starts to improv and starts to extend plays, that's where the Seattle Seahawks really hurt you. Because to me, Russell Wilson probably throws the best deep ball in the game as far as with accuracy. He does an excellent job of improvising and running down the field and throwing the ball. Like a lot of times when Russell Wilson breaks the pocket, he's not even looking to run the ball. He's looking to draw defenders up so he can throw the bomb down the field. And that's what scares me about this game for the Eagles. I really wanted to pick the Eagles, and my heart was saying pick the Eagles. They're at home. This is another like Rocky story for the Philadelphia fans. You know how they have Rocky Balboa, and that's, they're always the underdogs, are known as the underdog city. They had, the year the Falcons played them, when we played them in when the year they went to the Super Bowl, they had the dog mask because they were underdogs in pretty much all of the playoff games they had, even though they were at home with Nick Foles. But I just don't think there's going to be Walker Toombs has enough weapons. With Zach Ertz having the bruised ribs that he has and I think he said a punctured lung or something like that, or a lacerated kidney. It was one of those injuries that Zach Ertz had, but I know he had broken ribs for a fact. So if you have broken ribs, I really don't see Zach Ertz playing in this game. Now, if Zach Ertz happens to play in this game and him and Dallas Goedert are both healthy, then that really gives them a good chance to win the game. But I'm going with Seattle, man. I think Seattle has too many weapons on that offensive side of the ball. I'm not a huge believer in the Seahawks defense anymore. They do have Jadeveon Clowney, but I don't think that this is the same Legion of Boom defense. They're very young in the back end with Shaq Griffin. He's probably their best cover corner on the team. And they have a guy named Quandre Diggs at safety that they picked up in a trade, I believe. So they have some good players for Seattle on the defense. I just think that the X factor is going to be Russell Wilson, and he's going to make too many of those improv plays where the pocket's going to break down. The Eagles are going to look like they have a sack, and somehow, some way, Russell Wilson is going to dance out, and he's going to look long, and DK Metcalf and Lockett and those guys are going to make huge plays down the field. And as we know, those cover corners for the Eagles are not good. Douglas struggles, very slow. Number 32 for the Eagles. He holds a lot. He gets burnt a lot. Early in the year, he was burnt toast. Sidney Jones, I believe he was like a first or second round pick. He had tore his ACL. He was supposed to be a first round corner, but he got injured in his pro day, and he was struggling. He's been playing well of late. He had a pick, I think, against the Giants to kind of seal that victory for them, but I don't see it, man, in this game. I really don't see it for the Philadelphia Eagles. As much as I like Philadelphia, their underdog type of story, and the underdog, they are always playing that underdog role like the movie Rocky. I really don't see it happening for Philadelphia this time around. And it's not because I think Nick Foles has anything to do with it, or if I don't think Carson Wentz is a good player. I think Carson Wentz is an excellent quarterback, definitely probably a top 10 quarterback in the league at this point. I just think that he doesn't have enough weapons. If Deshaun Jackson or Alshon Jeffrey was playing in this game, or even Nelson Aguilar, if those guys were playing in this game, I think they would have a much better chance at winning. But I just don't see it. The cards, I don't think they have enough spades in their hand if they're playing spades. I don't think they have enough aces in their pocket or enough spades in their pocket to win this game. I really think that they're playing with, backup guys, a ton of backup guys, and I really don't think those backup guys can get it done. I do have a lot of respect for Boston Scott and a lot of respect for Greg Ward and the guys that's been stepping up. I don't believe in J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I still don't believe in him as a receiver. He hasn't shown me enough. And I just think at the end of the day, they're just too banged up. Even though Seattle has a bunch of injuries as well, I feel like the Eagles have way too many injuries. And I think that the run that they were on ends this weekend, and I have Seattle moving on. So with that being said, you heard my picks, and we're going to see how well Jude does. I believe that I am an excellent football mind, and I know the game. I watched the game, and I think that you can't go wrong if you go with my picks. I'm taking Seattle against the Eagles in Philadelphia with the upset. I'm taking the Vikings on the road against the Saints. I'm taking New England at home against the Tennessee Titans. And I'm taking the Buffalo Bills over the Houston Texans. So we're going to see how well the next week I do. Those are the teams I have moving on in the divisional round. Y'all tell me what y'all like think about the video. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Please drop your comments down below this video. Please tell your friends if they're just a football fan. They might not be a Falcons fan, but they may be a football fan. Tell them that I'm doing breakdowns of the playoffs. And, you know, I want to hear what they think about my picks. And I think you can't go wrong with Juice picks. We're going to see how well I did. Like I said, I don't do point spreads. I'm just going to do the straight out winners. And those are who I have moving on this week. So y'all tell me what y'all think about in the video. As always, it's always about this bird right here. Rise up, Falcons Nation. I'm going to holler at y'all in the next video. I have another video for y'all a little bit next week. I'm going to talk a little bit about the draft and who I think the Falcons should select in the upcoming draft. Some players I've been looking at since I've been watching these college bowl games. It's been very interesting. A lot of picks. I see the Falcons, a lot of guys that I think may be good fits for our Atlanta Falcons. So I have a video on that next week. I'm also going to be doing a video breakdown of the divisional round and who I have moving on. I might also do a video tomorrow. I might check in while the games are on just to tell y'all, you know, talk to y'all. I might hop on Facebook or something like that. Go Facebook Live. I might do a little something there, but you guys, I appreciate all the love. Like I said, please like, please share, please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you'll know when I'm making some content or making a video. Shout out to all of the other YouTubers out there, the Falcons YouTubers and content creators. We appreciate all you do. And like I said, man, this been your boy Jew. I'll holler at y'all. Y'all enjoy the weekend. Continue to enjoy the holiday season. As I said again, Happy New Year's to everybody. 2020 is going to be a prosperous year for you guys. And I hope it's going to be a blessed year for you guys. Y'all be safe out there. And check me out in the next video, man. All right. Peace. I'm out.